Hello, welcome to Furious Driving, and today you join me at the wheel of an electric Lexus. This is the UX300e fully electric crossover. And if you like reviews of new cars as well as retros and tinkering with old cars, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button down there. Hello, welcome to Furious Driving, and today we're looking at possibly the most natural use of an electric car, the luxury car, and possibly the most natural adopter of a luxury electric car, Lexus, in this, the UX300e. Now, looking around the interior of the car, everything is very, very high quality feeling, very premium feeling, as you would expect in a car from Lexus, of course. However, the other thing you expect from Lexus is the really quite interesting and, well, unique take on how to lay things out. Whereas other manufacturers will go very much by the book and follow traditions. I think the only tradition we have really got here is the position of the steering wheel, stalks and pedals. Everything else is pretty much wherever they felt it might be more interesting or more useful. So starting over here on the door, everything is soft touch, even the things you barely do touch at all. You've got a semi-soft touch rubbery area here in the top half of the door, big metal satin chrome door handle, a soft touch leather armrest over here, and interestingly, whereas a lot of smaller low-end cars will go piano black on everything, they've gone satin black in anywhere there's a smooth surface, which looks far more classy, far more discreet and upmarket. Here we've got switches for all four windows, electric mirrors which also have power fold of course, and underneath we have a large storage area and a place for putting bottles in the door if you want to carry bottles in the door. Big speaker of course as well. Now this dashboard top, it is amazing, it's something out of this world. If by any chance you're interested in brutalist architecture, then this dashboard will definitely excite you. There are jutting angles, different materials, varying surfaces. It's just fascinating to look here and just examine this whole mad array of different surfaces. We have 3 speakers across the top. We have a large jutting screen area with an analog clock that's on all the time, obviously because it's real. So this large area all across the top, and then moving into this jutted, like a cliff top runway area above the instrument binnacle, is almost like a leather texture effect kind of plastic, which is all very Aztec in its shape. And I say, like the brutalist architecture of the 1960s is quite interesting. It also has these jutting side controls for your mode, sport, normal, eco, and on the right hand side, traction control. Rather unusual places to put them. It looks like little ears or horns sticking out on Shrek's head. They're moving into this other area here. This is a textured eco-y material. It's a nice soft touch, quite light, and it's a nice change of pace from the harder materials, having this fabric here with a little bit of stitching in it. And then we've got this more satin black and satin chrome around the air vents, which are also very heavy, solid feeling things. And more of this rubbery leather texture material, a different leather texture this time, leather grain over here. So yeah, lots of textures, lots of things. You might say it's a little busy, but I'm quite liking the interest factor of it not all being exactly the same all the way around. And parked in the centre of it, we do have this large screen area, which is a bit of a different take on the usual pop-up screen. It is a pop-up screen, but we have the video display area in the middle, which isn't a touch screen. The controls are actually further away in the dashboard, and a proper analog clock. I think this is very much a Lexus thing to always have an actual analog clock in dash itself. And then we have, let's put the power on so we can see things a bit more clearly. Everything's hidden black under a black screen of blackness. All our heating and ventilation controls, even the heated mirrors, all our heating and ventilation controls are on actual buttons, which is a fantastic thing. I really do hate having ventilation controls in a touchscreen. That is possibly the most annoying thing known to man. So although you have your temperature readout here on this small display, you also have it popping up on the main display as well, so you can see where things are being ventilated too. In addition to that, we do have another row of sub controls for heating and ventilation, but this is for your bum. This being one of the higher level cars has got heated and ventilated seats and a heated steering wheel as well. Again, all on proper actual buttons, which is fantastic because they're not having to take your eyes off the road and go and investigate a touchscreen menu in order to find a fairly basic thing. Now below that we've got a small slotty area which has got inductive charging for your phone, twin cup holders, and then this is how you control everything over on the screen up top. You've got a laptop style touchpad, so you can find your way around the car's controls using that. And beside the auto gearbox, well, in fact it's not really automatic, it's a direct drive, isn't it, on these things, we have one of the most unusual control layouts for your media. Radio is a push button, a volume dial in the center, media selection and tuning. It's all on this little jutted out thing, which is actually surprisingly natural. After the first initial confusion of how does this work, you can just sit here and move your hand around here to take control of all the different things that are happening over there. Now back to the instrument binnacle. Underneath that interesting brutalist architecture, we've got a surprising mixture of digital and analog controls. Most of the screen is actually completely digital. This area here, which is telling me we're not ready to drive, that's all digital. The speedometer and gear selector, the power readouts are all digital. But the actual battery control, the most digital thing in the entire car, is an analog needle. So that's an interesting way of doing things. And of course we have our fairly standard stalks left and right, a lovely soft touch leather steering wheel. It's very, very squeezable, soft leather feeling material, a nice bit of stitching in it, lots of buttons all over it, and a horn. That's actually really muted inside the car. The interior is so well sound protected you can barely hear that even fired. You can tell it's a loud, dignified horn. Then we come to these seats, which I'm currently enjoying. As I say, these are heated and ventilated, and look at all of this stitching, which is so many different directions and textures, perforated here in the center. Obviously it can have to be for ventilated seating. It's very, very soft touch. It feels absolutely divine, and it wraps around in a very supportive, comfortable way with a nice tall headrest. The whole thing is absolutely beautiful to sit in and relax into. Climbing into the rear of the car, you do have to duck quite a lot to get past that very, very heavily sweeping roof line, which is very dramatic on the outside but kind of tight on the inside as you get in. Once you're inside, the seating position is quite low, but the floor line is quite high, so it's a slightly awkward position if for an adult sitting in the back of the car here. And the footroom is not as good as the knee room, interestingly. You do have lovely comfortable seats, the same soft touch leatherette material. You have rear heated seats, which is a very nice touch. You have got twin 2.1 amp USB chargers in the rear, and your own ventilation, of course. Now surprisingly, considering how high this shoulder line is and how small these rear windows are, it doesn't feel too claustrophobic back here. Now obviously being electric, everything has to be done to save weight wherever possible, so the tailgate is a plastic material, which makes it an awful lot lighter. This load space cover is only thin fabric rather than full-on board on top of there, so it saves a few kilos in that and improves your range. Inside here it's quite a high floor because the battery is under the back of the car, and that means that the lip though isn't too deep into the boot itself because your floor level is right the way up here. This does mean the boot isn't huge, but it's certainly big enough for a week's shop or a weekend away. That wouldn't be a problem. If you're trying to shift a washing machine or kids' bikes, that might be a bit tight. Under the boot floor we've got charging paraphernalia and pumping up your kit instead of a spare tyre. Now, setting off in the UX300e is simplicity itself. Now obviously being a crossover semi-SUV type car, the driving position is quite high up. So you have a good view around, although the sharp styling of the car does make it something of a letterbox looking out of it. This car isn't an EV from the ground up. This is a car that has been converted from the more traditional hybrid range of cars. So that does mean that the boot area is slightly compromised by having the battery slung underneath there. But the motor is at the front. It's a 150 kilowatt permanent magnet motor, which is equivalent of about 201 horsepower. So it really can pick up when it wants to. Now of course, the massive question with any pure electric car is the range. Has it got the range? In this case it's 196 miles on the 17-inch wheels, 190 if you go for the larger 18s. That might not sound like much on such an expensive car, however, Lexus have done their homework. And according to the Lexus boffins, the average journey for a Lexus is around 29 miles, which means that that's more than enough for a day's driving, possibly even enough for an entire week with only a single charge at the weekend. Now there are 3 trim levels on this car: the standard one, which starts at around £41,000, Premium Plus, and the Takomi Pack, which I believe this car is, and weighs in at £51,000. But that gives you the heated steering wheel, the ventilated and heated front seats, heated rear seats, and a bigger 10.3-inch screen over the 7-inch screen, which you get as standard. The Takumi also gets 18-inch wheels. Now driving this thing is utterly serene. It's so quiet, so very, very hushed. It really is everything a Lexus ought to be. The ride is soft and smooth. The drivetrain is near silent. If you want to relax into a car, you really can't do better than this. If you want to push it a bit faster, 0 to 60 is 7.5 seconds, and the top speed is 100 miles an hour. And the styling is a bit love it or hate it. It's very, very different from everything else you'll see on the road. And I like that boldness, because so many cars are just cookie cutter copies of everything else. So having something that really does stand out and be its own car, its own unique style, is really rather attractive. And as well as that, you have a decent range of colours as well. You'll notice this one is this fantastic metallic bronze, but there's metallic blue, metallic green, a whole host of other colours, not just the usual black, white and grey. So you really can make an interesting car that stands out on the road. The steering is incredibly light. It's very much a one-finger deal putting it down the road. It's not loaded with feedback, but when you do throw it into a corner, it does grip extremely well. You can feel the weight and the mass of the car as it pitches through a bend. The brakes, like most EVs, are very good, because every time you hit the anchors, you get a bit more juice back. When I first climbed into this car, I did feel that the steering wheel didn't raise quite high enough. It is electrically raisable and lowerable. In fact, everything in this car is electrically movable, so lots of luxury happening all around you. Oh, a little bit of wheel spin, getting that tight corner there as that front wheel lifted a touch in the tight bend there, with the weight of the car tipping it sideways through the corner. The driving position is really nice. It's not really a car designed to be hustled. It's more of a comfortable commuting car in style and refinement, rather than hustling through a country lane. When I first got in, I did feel that the steering wheel wasn't quite raising up high enough for me. It's all electric, as are the seats and the mirrors and literally everything else. However, once I'm on the road, I've actually found that everything falls really neatly to hand. It's just right. The steering wheel is actually in just the right place. I've got a nice clear view of the instruments. I've got myself in a really comfortable driving position as well. It's just the right length on my legs, it's just the right length on my arms. Everything is just right. This windowsill does feel a little high though, if I'm honest. But then that is the price you pay for the rather dramatic styling on the outside. It's interesting seeing how Lexus has evolved as a company, and their product has changed over the last couple of decades since they appeared with a massive, really quite impressively E-Class rivaling, in fact beating in many ways, big saloon. And now the only thing in their range is SUVs and crossovers, because they've fully embraced that element of the market, and it seems to be working for them remarkably well. They've been bold and carved a niche entirely of their own. They are still the luxury Japanese brand as far as Europe and the UK is concerned. If as a buyer what you crave is ultimate luxury, so better than BMW, top-end Mercedes, that kind of thing, but with ultimate Japanese reliability, there really is only one choice, and this is Lexus. Nipping it up to dual carriageway speeds, and the ride and ambience are impeccable. There's very little road noise, almost no tyre noise, and the car is incredibly stable still. Doing just shy of 60 miles an hour, and really the thing is just serene. Well, thank you for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this ride out in this lovely Lexus in this amazing colour of orange, which actually matches my jumper today. If you have, please do hit like and subscribe, and join me again next time driving something completely different.